Leadership isn't factory installed on all of us. It doesn't just come natural to some of us. I'm gonna explain some of our faults, some of our mistakes, and I'm gonna show you how to become the world's best leader with your customers, with your team, with your family, with anybody that looks up to you. You're going to be a person that they know can lead them to the promised land. Everything rises and falls on the leader, so watch this video and let's turn you into the world's best leader.
Body went numb like a minute ago. I can't feel a thing from my head to toe.
In order to become a better leader, you're gonna have to have a big vision for your future. So I want you to write this down. We're gonna get into the 3 pillars of leadership, and by the end of this video, you will become a better leader. If you're looking at this video and you're like, Evan, I'm just a sales guy. I don't have anybody relying on me. I don't know who I'm leading. Well, you're leading your clients. There's somebody also looking up to you, whether it be your brothers, your sisters, your mom, your friends, your family. There's somebody leading you. All of you guys are leaders. You've got families depending on you. You got people depending on you. So let's become the example for what personal excellence looks like. Let's turn our company into just a hero-making machine. So what will happen is then they can go back out in the community and take the culture that we've created with a bunch of leaders, a bunch of fired up, magnetic, great people that go back into the community and change the community, which will ultimately change the world. Leadership is so important. So let's talk about it. First, as we get into the 3 pillars, before we start, write the word vision down. You gotta have a good vision. Leaders, they can see on the other end of a corner. They can see around a corner. They can see the blind spots. They can anticipate what's coming. You got to anticipate this. If you're a salesperson right now, do you see yourself becoming a high-level leader in your company where you're making the big bucks? So if you're not doing that right now, why don't you see around the corner and see where you're going to be at 3 years from now? Why don't you start acting like the leader that you know ultimately that you need and that you want to become? If you're not around any great leaders right now, it's no big deal. You're going to have to become that person. You're going to have to be a lone wolf for a couple of years, and you're going to have to become the leader you need. Now, some of you guys have had that leader in your life. You've had a person that's guided you, that's mentored you. It's time for you to become that person for every single person that you see in your life. Your friends, your family, or anybody you come in contact with, you're going to start to lead them to be able to make better decisions. Ultimately, the best leaders in the world, they have a servant heart. They're servant heart people. They believe in people. They still see the God in everybody else. If I have good intentions for you and I'm a leader, which means like I believe in you, I'm going to try to force that good to even come out. That's a good leader. It's somebody who can see that inside of somebody, that special quality, and start to help them. A great leader also is somebody who can find those weaknesses and not make them feel like shit about it, but ultimately like press on them to become that person that they see them becoming. I can tell when I look at somebody, I can see what they're going to look like 2 years from now, 5 years from now, because I know what transformation looks like, because I've done it in my own life, which leads me to pillar number 1, self-leadership. Write that down. Self-leadership, it's the highest form of self-leadership. Look, man, if somebody tells me to go get into shape, but they're not in shape, I'm not going to do it. Think about what you say. When words leave your mouth, how much value do the words have that leave your mouth? Do they have massive value? Okay, so for me, I want a fired up sales team. I want people around me that are passionate. I want people around me that are intense. I want people around me that care, that have love. If I want other people to do that, then first I have to be able to do that. I want people around me to smile when they walk by. If I walk by somebody and they don't smile, do I not smile? No, that's bad leadership. What I walk by and do is I'm like, hey, how you doing? Hey, good to meet you. And what happens is they smile back to me. That's leadership. So what are you putting out into the world is what you're going to get back. If you're a team leader, if you're a sales manager, if you're an owner of a business, you need to think about what are the lenses your salespeople look at you at. I want you to put their glasses on and start to think, do they look at me as a positive person? Do they look at me as a person that's easily triggered, that's emotional, that misses deadlines, that procrastinates? If they look at you like that, they're going to do those same exact things. I can walk into any dealership, any business in the world. I know what their owner is going to look like. I can tell by the salespeople. If they're out of shape, if they don't care, if they've got stuff on their shirt, if their shirt's untucked, it's like usually the leader walks out and he's very sloppy. I've seen so many people, they're like, man, my wife's not that intense. My wife doesn't have that much passion, this, that. They're complaining about a lot of things that maybe their significant other doesn't do, but they're not putting any massive action in those areas too. So their wife's not following them. Your kids, they're a spitting image of you, literally a spitting image of you. That's why learning how to develop yourself and being able to self-develop the people around you is one of the biggest critical keys to leadership. If you're not, you're stagnant. And the leader that's stagnant, nobody wants to be around. Hey, it's the Macklin Twins. Thanks for watching the video. If you want the free leadership guide, the blueprint, go ahead and text our phone number, 480-780-2203. We'll send it over to you. Let's get back to the video. Let's go. Let's go. Text the number. I want you to write down all the things that you want your family to do, and then I want you to rank yourself on those things. Fitness, mindset, love, care, passion, intensity. Once you start to rank yourself on those things, and go look in the mirror and ask yourself if you've got more left to give. All right, step number 1 is mastered. Your self-leadership is in total congruency with who you want to become. Now you're gonna go to step number 2, which is learning to lead other people now. You can't lead other people if you can't lead yourself. That's step number 1. If you keep messing that up, go back to the starting line till you master your own self. But now that you've learned to lead other people, I want you to write this down. I'm in congruency with my physical, my mental, and my emotional state that I know that I need to go into to lead other people. When you're leading other people, there's some things that you have to know. If you're not decisive, if you're not a person that can make decisions quickly and be able to live with the decision, other people will not follow you. You have to be able to make decisions very fast. You have to be a person that doesn't second guess yourself. I know when my wife's like asking me questions like, hey Evan, where do we want to go to eat? What do we want to do here? What do we want to do here? Women, man, they're always asking, 50,000 questions. If you can't make it decisively, they're looking at you. All of a sudden, you're inviting uncertainty into your family's decisions. Customers are the same way. They're literally at your business and they're hoping that you know how to lead them to make a decision. But the second some uncertainty comes in with your eyes, with the way that you talk, the way that you stutter, your body language, all that happens is you invite some more uncertainty in the deal. Once uncertainty comes into the deal with whoever that is in your life, all of a sudden it starts to spread like wildfire. There's good decision, bad decision, and indecision. The worst decision of all time is indecision. If you fail and make a bad decision, you can get some quick feedback and you can pivot. Quick feedback, pivot, and you're fine. If you don't make a decision and you're just stuck in indecision, you're just stuck in fear, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Dude, that's the worst decision of all time. At least make a decision and go win. Make a bad decision, who cares? Just make one. Nobody likes being around indecisive people, especially in sales and leadership. It just does not work. So I want you to get clear. I want you to get definitive. I want you to also, when you're talking to your team or your family, cast your vision on where they're gonna be in 2 years. Andy Elliott, the best leaders that I've been around, the Ed Miletts, the Andy Frizellas, man, even when they don't 100% know where their companies are going or their team or their families are going, their soldiers are following them into battle because they're certain. They're certain they're gonna figure it out because they're betting on themselves. Do you have enough confidence right now to call your shot? Do you have enough confidence right now to tell your wife exactly what your family's gonna be in a year from now, 2 years from now? Everywhere I go with my wife, I'm like always talking about our vision, where we're gonna be as a team. I'm getting her bought in on it. When I'm with my team, I'm always like, man, here's where we're gonna be a year from now. Here's where you're gonna be. Here's what I see in you. Write this down. Talk to your team. Tell them what you see in them. If you want to become a leader of other people, you got to make people feel powerful around you. Do they feel powerful when you walk in a room? They're like, man, there goes my guy, man. He's going to freaking get me today. If you find some things that you don't like about your team, are you good at coaching them? Are you good at sitting them down and giving them a blueprint on how they're going to make these changes in their life? That's what I'm most proud of when it comes to leadership. Listen, I've made some big checks. I've made a lot of money in my life. The things that I'm happy about is contributing to other people. When I see other people make money, when I see that my team has breakthroughs, when I see that the spark is lit in their eyes and they're fired up because they've learned how to have a conversation that they didn't know how to have before with their kids, with their wife, with their customers. That's what gets me excited. The one key that you're gonna need to stay on fire as a leader is never forgetting that contribution side. You prayed for a team. You prayed to be a leader. And now you got a team. Do you take it for granted? Now you got the wife, the kids. Do you take it for granted? Or are you still leading them like it was day one, right when you got the job? The day that you had your baby. You said you were gonna tuck them in, be there with them, give them good energy, take really good care of them, and now it's 2 years later. Do you still do that? One of the biggest things that I know that people lose track of is their contribution and their gratitude for where they're at. I believe that the best leaders in the world, they stay on track with that, and all of you guys can do that. So think about it right now. Self-assess. If you're gonna lead other leaders, if you're gonna lead other people, you're going to have to be the person that they freaking look up to. And then you need to become so good at transferring them into versions of yourself. If you're such a badass, I don't care how much you sell, I don't care what you say, I care by what your leaders look like next to you. In their language, do they talk with your core values? Are their eyes on fire? Are their presentation skills sharp? Is their communication sharp? That to me tells me that you're doing a good job. So with leadership, test your people, push on them, poke holes in their game, figure out how to get them better. Running a sales team is it's like a game. You're gonna have to motivate them this guy one day. This guy might be down. You're gonna have to get good at sizing people up, looking in their eyes, figuring out what's wrong with them, talking to their significant others, developing deep relationships so you can figure out what's going on so you can move them in the next level. Ask yourself right now, how deep are your relationships with the people around you? How deep are your relationships with your sales team? How deep are your relationship with your wife? Like, you might say, well, she's my wife, she's my queen. Do you know what's really going on every day with her? Do you know what she's going through? Are you that person that people can count on? That to me is like the ultimate version of being a leader. You think you're not a leader right now and you're a salesperson, I'm telling you right now, this is how you're gonna make the next level of your money. I was a really good salesperson for a long time, really good, but I learned that leadership was not factory installed with me. I was easily triggered. I missed deadlines. I lost respect from a lot of people. I remember one time I was in a sales meeting and one of my salespeople that I had just taken under my wing in front of the whole company kind of called me out and talked about a couple of the things that I wasn't doing good. And it pissed me off, but it was one of the greatest conversations that I ever had because I really dove into leadership and I really started to self-assess her lenses of how she saw me, how I talked, how I acted, how I was there for her or not there for her when she absolutely needed me. Those are the most important things you can do as a leader. Step number 3, now you're gonna build leaders that build more leaders. This is the hardest part of business. First, you got to attract them. Andy was able to attract a lot of our team with his discipline, with his communication, with the way that he talks, with the way that he walks, with his confidence. He attracted them. He had done a lot of deep work on himself. After he was able to attract them, then he was able to communicate and pour into those people and build other leaders. He's building these leaders. He's communicating with them. He's talking to them. He's very decisive. People have respect for him. When he walks into a room, the energy shifts. People are like, wow, man, I love this company. He's figuring out all the little things to keep people motivated and run this big team. But then here's where owners mess up. They don't teach these leaders and empower them to go build other leaders. Andy could leave the company right now and our company would still make as much, if not more money than when Andy's here because we've built other leaders. Andy's poured so much into me and then I've poured into the guys that are underneath me. We've got a core group of about a dozen leaders that are now building the next phase of leaders. And then those guys are building the next phase of leaders underneath them. And that's truly how you run a business. So first it starts with you, and then it starts with building those leaders, and then it starts with teaching and empowering those leaders to build other leaders. And really, it's just your conversation every day. It's developing these leadership muscles within your team. It's them seeing it within you. So important. This video, if you could master this video and really become one of the world's best not just salespeople, but one of the world's best leaders, your family's gonna thrive for years to come. A lot of people don't talk about this stuff in sales training because all they want to talk about is the cute word tracks and the closes and things like this. But if you're a poor leader and every single time you start going forward in your life, you self-sabotage it every 2, 3, 4 years, you just self-sabotage your team, self-sabotage your family. You're never gonna get to where you want to go. I've heard so many people talk about this and I'm gonna talk about it too. Think about at the end of your life and you pass away, you die, and you're sitting right there with God and he shows you the version of you that you could become. Say he shows you your twin since you don't have a twin. He shows us our triplet and he's like, you could have became this person. Who is that person? You know, how much pressure did they run to? How great of a leader? How many people behind them did they change? Did they influence their life? I think God's gonna judge you on the amount of people that you built in his kingdom. I think he's gonna talk to you about how many people you were able to influence for them to go get what they wanted. By the way, that's what makes me happy. That's what makes me tick. So in order to be a good leader too, and in order to do all this stuff, you have to have a good heart. You have to have good intention. And you have to be one of these people that can see the good inside of people, that also has played with fire, that's had some darkness. If you're one of the people that's had darkness, you've self-sabotaged, you've done all these things, and you're like, Evan, I'm not qualified to be a good leader. I was a drug addict. I was this person. I was this. Listen, man, you're immensely qualified. You're qualified to lead more people. More people are broken and messed up than you could ever imagine. In fact, I believe all of us are. And the people who act like they're not, they're usually just they're just better at hiding it. I'm okay with saying I'm broken. I need somebody who's a good leader in my life. I have so many people that I can trace back the dots on who changed my life. And it gets me excited. It gives me goosebumps. I want to be that person for people. And if you can do that, and then you can build other people, the freaking compound effect of what you do inside of your company, your community, the world is unbelievable. Let's go become unbelievable leaders. Let's be phenomenal. Let's not be forgotten. Let's truly be phenomenal. Let's not be forgotten, just another leader, another sales manager, another business owner, just another sales guy that couldn't lead our customers to make a decision because we couldn't make the hard decisions in our life. Write down a couple of hard decisions right now that you know you're bullshitting on, that you're kind of sweeping underneath the rug. Why don't you go self-lead yourself through a couple of these tough things, sacrifice a couple of little things, and watch how your life changes forever, and you will become the world's best salesperson and you'll become the world's best leader. Let's go. Woo! Let's go.